Welcome to Unpacked, a video interview series where I get the stories behind my favourite new songs. For this episode, I speak to Tully John and Liza-Jane, the singer-songwriting duo who have been releasing beautifully emotive music since 2017. We talk about their single, Airport Lights, in this episode, and how it was written over a period of about 4 years. Eventually, they collaborated with local producer George Carpenter to come up with this amazing, sparse, but complicated kind of sound. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Welcome, Tully John and Liza-Jane. How are you going?
Hello. Mate. How you going?
Well, where do I find you guys? At your house today with a couple of guitars, looks like?
In our lounge room.
Nice.
With our guitars. We've got a little one-bedroom unit, so it's nice and squishy and cozy in here.
Yeah, trying to make it look spacious.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I get all the greenery in my background, and you need to find the tidiest part of your house, don't you? Cool. Well, congratulations on the amazing single Airport Lights. I've been loving it over the last couple of, I suppose, months now that it's been out. So today we're just going to go over the track. We're going to unpack it. Hopefully you guys might be able to show us a couple of things on the guitar, and we'll go from there. So the first kind of question I've got here is that initial idea. I've read somewhere that it kind of came about 4 years ago. Is that true?
Yeah, it's been like a long time coming, this song. It took on a lot of different forms. It was, the Liza's verse in the song. It's like the...
It's New Year's Eve now, smoke in the trees.
Yeah, so that bit, I wrote ages ago, like about 4 years ago.
Wow.
And then I was always trying to find a song to fit it in, and just the rhythms and the melodies never really fit. And I even used to have it in a different chord kind of structure. It used to be like to the minor, to the fifth.
Okay.
And then it wasn't until recently that we had a friend having someone that they love go away, and that kind of spurred me to finish the song.
Okay, so it kind of evolved. Was it always going to be about the long distance relationship and the longing for a partner? Was that the idea for the lyrical content to start with, from the start?
Not necessarily. That definitely was, I guess, it seemed like the obvious inspiration when I got around to finishing the song. But at the time, Liza was overseas, and I had this idea. I was living at Mum's house in Talbot Valley in the hinterland. I thought I'd go climb a mountain and watch all the fireworks along the coast, because all like the surf clubs have like the big fireworks. And I was like, heck yeah, I'll go watch them all at the same time.
Yep.
So I went and climbed this mountain, and took this like little, I don't know, this is like the notebook I had with me.
Nice.
And I just took this little travel book, and I just was writing words. And the first two lines was New Year's Eve, wind through the trees or something like that.
Okay.
And then that kind of, it spurred like that verse. And it was kind of just going to be about, I guess, distance and contemplation. And then, as time went on, it came more and more about that long distance relationship and thinking about what another person on the other side of the world is going through and thinking about, and seeing.
And when did Liza-Jane, your part kind of come into it? Was it a couple of years after, or did you write it at the same time, or more recently?
Well, I think that's the verse Tully wrote that started the whole song. That was the first kind of verse. It's New Year's Eve now. Smoke in the trees. I'm in Germany now.
Yep.
Watching the fireworks on the street. So that was kind of my experience. I can't take credit for the verse. Tully wrote the verses.
Yeah. It was originally going to be like, from my perspective, looking at the fireworks off the cliff.
Yep.
And that was like the original lyric.
Yep.
And then I just worked it. I worked it so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like grinding it on the grinding stone.
Yeah.
And then I think it was when I finished the song, I thought, it's so obvious. Why doesn't Liza sing that verse? And then I just kind of tweaked it, and then it became, instead of "you're in Germany," I'm in Germany.
I'm in Germany.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. And I've always wondered how a duo like you guys actually write those lyrics that kind of talk to each other. So in that case, you'd actually written Liza's verse and you kind of switched it around and stuff like that. Is that a common way that you guys write songs? Because you have both have very prominent parts in your songs. And in general, is that a the formula that you guys use?
Yeah, I think we're such different writers, so it's kind of like we write the bulk of a song. Usually, this is how it works. We'll write the bulk of it, and then come together and kind of like fine tooth comb through it and make sure we're super stoked with every lyric and everything like that, and think about where, who's going to sing what and all that. But because we've been, I guess, singing together for so long, for me, when I'm writing, I'm automatically thinking of Tully's voice and like how it's going to sit, and if this is a good key for him, and like we kind of consider each other, I think, in the writing process as well. And
it's such a luxury actually, just to be able to like be writing a song and being like, oh, maybe I don't need to sing this song, maybe it'll sound better with a female voice, and then be like, hey Liza, you want to sing this?
Yeah, that would be amazing. I can't hit that high note, so here we go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And does it work the other way? Do you write stuff for Tully, Liza, or does he only handball things to you?
Oh,
I'm the generous one.
Yeah.
I've not done that yet.
Okay.
I've not given him a verse.
Melodies.
I'm just thinking of the song we're workshopping at the moment, and there's like a real kind of part that I want his voice in. So but not like a whole individual verse. I think Tully's shared more with me, I think.
We have to even it up for the next EP, hey? Awesome. So I want to talk about the recording process. You guys talked about working with George Carpenter and having a really good experience working with him. I know George personally is a good mate of mine. And what was your experience like working with George? Did you work at Love Street Studios in the Gold Coast on this track? Yeah. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that experience like in the studio with him?
We love George.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Like, we did our last single, Embers, with him, and that was the first time I'd worked with him, and it was just incredible.
Yeah. He really brought us out of our kind of shell, because before recording with George, we'd never worked with a producer, or we've collaborated with other people and other musicians and stuff, but when it came to recording our own stuff, we were very much in our own little bubble.
Yeah.
And you can we hear that when we listen back to our first EP, and there's we love it for what it is, but there is a timidness there, and there's like this little bubble. So George just kind of helped us really get out of that and extend us and what we can do. And I think working with limited time in the studio and having to go through the production process of like pre-production, and then laying down the bones, and then mixing, and like really going through that process, we had to make kind of faster decisions and just speed up a bit, because it's so different when you record from home and you have all the time in the world. And
definitely. I could really, I think the evolution of your sound from the EP to the last two tracks that you have released, working with George, it is quite noticeable that your sound has changed in a way, but it's really kept that same kind of I don't know, duet kind of call response vocal acoustic feel that you guys do with such emotion. But I think over these last two singles, and correct me if I'm wrong, but George is kind of bringing that fuller sound and really building some kind of strings and stuff like that. Are they the kind of is that what you kind of feel the same about what he's brought to the plate?
Yeah, definitely the fullness. we had strings on the EP.
Yeah.
But oh man, he's just like a magician in the studio. Like he just works so quick and has these techniques that, like, in our last song, in our last single, Embers, there's a little video of him. I'm holding two mics up against my head like that, and he's got two tambourines, and he's like doing this like kind of like bird mating dance around my head, and things like that, which just add this depth of sound that
Awesome.
you couldn't replicate on your own kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So he definitely brings that depth of sound. And
he's just so enthusiastic and so invested in the song as well. Like he's objective, and he's able to be that objective party when we really need him to be. But he's also just so into it and like just lives it and breathes it while we're all together, and it's so much fun and it's so intense. And that's been our experience the last 2 times we've recorded. It's been like very jam-packed, very intense, very fun, quick. We're slow movers. Like and I'm a perfectionist, and I just want to get in there and like fiddle with it as George is doing it, and he doesn't let me. And it's like, it's really good for me not to be able to get my hands on it, like in the process, because it can kind of kill some of the magic sometimes. So
I'm kind of like the other side of the coin, where I'm just like, sounds good enough.
Oh, look, I think it's a match made in heaven, and definitely, you can tell the way that you guys use space really well, and I think it's kind of really brought forward in the way that at the kind of end of this song, there's so many elements that are brought in, and the arrangement for me, I kind of, Liza, you kind of touched on it then, that you're a perfectionist, so you like to think about things a lot. Was there a lot of thought put into the arrangement of Airport Lights? Because it really sounds like there was.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no worries.
We wanted to, when we played the song for George in pre-production, we just played it acoustic, and our kind of mentality towards it was, let's just capture a really raw, stripped back recording and let the narrative kind of speak through the song. But then you can hear we kind of just got excited when we were in the studio, and I don't know, the song, it gets to a point and it takes on its own form, and it like starts telling you what it wants and where there's room for other textures and sounds, and like, so we had a lot of fun just adding, and we had Zane Versace do some sax. And then my dear friend Kate Derapaz, she did cello. She's been playing cello with us for years. So, and George is really good, friends with Kate, and so it was just a really fun time, and we all got overexcited.
You worked hard, like that the big build at the end. Like we worked pretty hard on getting the cello part. There's a staccato.
We've got Kate on the cello. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. We were trying to get some really kind of syncopation and stuff happening in the cello part. And there's footage of me and George like dancing through the glass.
Getting the rhythm going, right?
Kate, she's like,
I gotta see this footage. Is it coming out? Is it part of the video or something like that, or some behind the scenes footage we can see?
Oh, do we?
No, there's some footage.
I reckon I will throw it on Instagram.
The two tambourines and the staccato. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I'll actually play a part of the song that kind of really. I've cut the song up a little bit to show the very beginning, and then where this build take it to. So I'll quickly play it, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about it.
Go for it.
These airport lights.
This is the very start of the track.
They ain't so kind to me, darling.
And then, building into the... Amazing. And to be honest, today when I was cutting that up, I didn't realise how far it actually goes into, that full sound until you put it right next to each other. And that really shows credit as to how subtly you can make your way there. I was thinking is there drums? I think there's drums. I think the drums come in. I'm like, no, there's harmonies and saxophone, and yeah, it's just a really amazing build into that. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to kind of reflect on that, and I think you've kind of already answered the question about did you expect it to build that much when you went into the studio, or did you get carried away?
I always in writing the song, it was always it's a story, and I always had the vision of the departure. The first verse is the departure, these airport lights ain't so kind of me. I see your flight on the runway, so you're there, they're leaving, you're driving home. There's that little gap, and then they're overseas, and that big build it's kind of I like the idea of it being like an airplane taking off.
Yeah.
I mean, and then that was when I flew over to see Liza, and then the end is when we reunited, kind of thing.
And we came back together.
So I like it sonically kind of representing a journey in a way.
But we didn't expect it to kind of take off the way it did. Like we said, we're going for more of a minimal approach. And I'm sure some people would still listen and think it's quite stripped back and quite mellow, but for us, it's a lot more full than we originally thought. And it's funny because we were really unsure about whether we should release it, because we felt like, maybe it's too out there. It's too poppy.
Too
That's
intense,
what we were
man.
thinking. It's too poppy and
Way too intense.
But we're so glad we did. We had a few musician friends listen to it, and they were just like, "You have to drop this. It's hot." So we were like, "Okay, we'll just do it.
Yeah,
see what happens."
There's so many.
Perfect time to do it, coronavirus, COVID, just boom, throw it out there. We don't have to do a show or anything.
Yeah, you don't need to find a saxophone player and a string section to perform it live.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you released it too. And so, where does this lead then? You've come out with this track. It sounds like you're working on more stuff with George. Is this more intense sound going to be replicated in the forthcoming stuff, EP, or how's it look for the next releases?
I definitely think we'll definitely build on the depth. Like you mentioned before, we love space in our music, and it's a strange thing, in a day and age where attention spans are so short. We like the idea of doing what we want to do and not doing what we think people want to hear or think what we should be doing. You know what I mean? The space is always going to be a big part of our music, but depth definitely that's something we'll carry forward for sure.
We've learned a lot working with George, and we'll definitely work with him in the future for sure. We're actually next week jumping in with our friend Tim Goodburn at, what's the studio?
Big Note.
Oh, cool. Yep.
So yeah, really excited to work with him as well and see what he can kind of bring out in some stuff. And we're chipping away at our home, kind of some home projects too. So we'd love to be able to release a bigger body of work next, but we'll kind of see. I think we've come out of our shell a bit with George, and we'll definitely keep that going, I think.
Cool. Yeah,
do some more stuff.
Oh, definitely. Keep that approach going. I reckon is kind of take your time. I think a lot of modern day musicians will release so much content, and it is great. And some musicians can do it well, but when you take a couple of steps back, like you guys are, I'm sure you're writing all the time, but just getting it right, I think it's rare in terms of just what you guys do, and just making sure it's right and you're happy with it, and it really reflects in your sound, definitely. So yeah, keep doing that.
Thanks, brother.
No worries.
Thanks, Dad.
Ah, sweet. Well,
I know you play harmonica, don't you?
I do. I've got my old harmonica collection back out, so yeah.
Don't give that up, mate.
For sure. All right, sweet. Well, do you have any plans for the rest of the year? Everything looks like it's opening up. Do you have plans for some shows or anything like that? What do you got coming up?
Nothing locked in at this stage wise. We played last July. No, when was it? February. Some lovely intimate house concert and a Dust Temple show. And we'd love to do, more of that intimate kind of listening shows. We love those. So, I'm itching to play again. I've actually really missed it. So
we had a trip to San Francisco, booked for June, but then that all got turned upside down.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just recovering from that.
Yeah. Oh, look, everyone had so many plans change.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But, jumping in the studio next week, so we'll see how that goes, and hopefully some shows coming up. We'll definitely keep you in the loop.
Oh, great. Yeah, very good. Well, I'll be at one of the intimate shows. Maybe you could just invite a few people around and we could have some acoustic jam.
Well, we could just invite a few mates around. We'll just sit in front of the Zoom call and
Oh, it's the way of the future. Cool. Well, I think that's all about we got time for. So, thanks heaps for joining me today and having a chat. Really great to hear from you guys personally about some of those techniques you use in the studio and stuff. It was really great. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
thank you so much for having us.
Sweet.
Thanks for all the support as well, brother.
No worries.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.